Welcome to Civil Society. I'm your host, Julie Niehoff. Today we're taking on a hot topic in Central Texas, the struggle to make a living if you're a musician in the live music capital of the world. I'll talk first with Colin Kendrick from Black Fret, a unique organization with an innovative approach to this issue. And later, our panel will include Gavin Garcia, chair of the Austin Music Commission, and popular local soul performer Tomar Williams. While Austin is revered for its thriving music scene, and as all of Central Texas enjoys a time of unprecedented growth, some say that our local musicians have been left behind, no longer able to afford to live in the city they've arguably helped to build. Let's talk more about it on this episode of Civil Society. We're going to be talking to Colin Kendrick in just a moment, but first let's learn a little bit about blackfret.org.
Black Fret members are making something new possible in this age for our musicians.
Something that's going to support music for decades to come. We live in a town with incredible music, with incredible passion. And when you join Black Fret, you become a patron of local music. You nominate the bands you love, you come to over 30 events a year, and you allocate those grant dollars with your votes, which we award at our Black Ball Gala event.
We're coming up on 400 members. Within 18 months, we'll be at close to 600. Our membership's capped at 1,300. At 600 members, it becomes everybody go get a friend and we're done. A few hundred people, 1,000 people can make a real difference in the lives of some of the greatest musicians.
Our 2016 season has been the biggest yet. We will have awarded $500,000 to our local musicians.
At this point, we've funded 129 new songs, 53 songs released on albums or in videos, 119 professional recordings, 19 international tour dates, 229 U.S. tour dates.
Thousands of hours of mentoring, and have poured over 150,000 additional dollars back into the larger Austin music economy. It's our members that make that possible.
And that's really sad. It's not so much about talent and luck and your work ethic. There actually is a financial component that you need to be able to do it, to get to the next level.
When you're just grinding, you don't have time to create. And so that money just meant I could spend more time on the recording process and the creation process.
It's real easy to stop connecting, and music is a powerful tool for connecting.
It's building a community, and that's what we're all about.
And Black Fret has provided that home for the music fans in this town, and we hope to provide it for the music fans across the globe.
Okay, so now I'm joined in the studio with Colin Kendrick, who is the founder and president of Black Fret, which is a unique organization. Welcome, Colin. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me here.
Would you tell me a little bit about Black Fret?
Black Fret is fundamentally an innovative evolution of the old patronage model that has supported symphonies and operas for generations. We're using that plus the best practices of a number of other nonprofits to create funding opportunities for the local musicians in Austin.
And how did this come about? How did you get started doing that?
And in 1994, I was in the University of Texas RTF program. I was setting up mics and interning at Austin City Limits. Mm-hmm. That's a nonprofit that was debatably, supporting popular music.
It's a big one.
Yeah, and so there was an observation in my life at that point in time that there needed to be something like a symphony or an opera for local musicians.
What is different about the way that Black Fret operates, and how do you help musicians?
Black Fret's raising its money through a membership-based model, right? So we have a small community of donors that are donating a fairly significant amount on an annual basis, $1,500. Which is allowing us to raise a significant sum of money to provide grants to artists. And because we're able to do that, we've attracted an advisory board of over 40 music industry professionals in town that are making their time available to those musicians as well. So the artists are getting a combination of capital to help them further their careers and access to an incredible group of advisors.
As a musician, how does someone become part of that and enjoy the benefits of those grants?
Our nominees are selected in 4 paths. They're selected by our donors, about half of them. About 20% of them come from last year's musicians, so musicians nominating musicians.
Okay.
20% come from the advisory board, industry professionals, and then we take 10% from the vote of the public through the Austin Music Awards.
And how many musicians do you take on at a time, or is it an annual thing? Or?
Yeah, it's an annual cycle. This year we're doing 20. We've done 20 the last 3 years. We expect over time we will raise that. In total, over 3 years now, there have been 56 bands involved. We've had a few repeats, 56 bands, and over 300 musicians have been through the program. And we've distributed at this point $500,000 in grants. How
do you scale something like that? Because it's huge, and as a musician myself, and I'm married to a musician, and I care about this topic personally, I appreciate that work. I'm asking, how do you take that further? How do you grow it? How do you scale it to help more musicians?
You know, Black Fret's growing our membership. We're at around 400 members now. Our goal is to get up to 1,300. The model we're using, we're calling limited equitable patronage. It's the concept that a limited group of donors, all contributing equally, are creating a community that are then allocating those dollars.
How does someone join? How does someone become a part of Black Fret and make their voice heard in support of music?
It's open to the public, right? So we're very interested in getting anyone who cares about music involved. And we struggled a lot with the price point. It's about $100 a month after tax. That's about your cable bill, right? So we have members in our organization that make $30,000 a year, and we have members in our organization that make $3 million a year. It's a very diverse group of people that are there because they share a common passion.
I love the model. I think it's a beautiful thing to bring back. It's almost something from the years of Mozart to be a patron of the arts and to actually pitch in and carry the water. I like it.
You know, the community is something I'm an analytics guy, right? So I didn't really understand the power of the community we were building. But this is a group of 400 people and 300 musicians who attend multiple events a year together. There's
builds a community.
Someone at the city Don Pitts at the city referred to this as the fantasy football of local music, right? And it's that. It's like Tomar's going to be here today, and Tomar's got a big group of our members who are lobbying for that guy because he's just doing such a great job.
I love it. I appreciate your time today, Colin.
Yeah.
According to the 2015 Austin Music Census, out of 4,000 musicians in the area responding to the survey, 70% said they make less than $10,000 a year from music. And we're joined now in the studio by Gavin Garcia, who is himself a musician and serves as chair of the Austin Music Commission, and revered local soul artist, Tomar Williams. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming to talk to me and to Colin today. Let me ask you a profound question about musicians and being a musician, and that is, if you're a musician, is that something that you do, or is that something that you are?
It's a vocation, I believe. It's certainly a calling. It's something you can't put away at night and wake up in the morning and reinvent. So
Good point.
I believe a musician is a universal application, I guess, of an identity.
Okay.
And it goes through the ages.
It does. Do you agree then, Tomar?
I totally agree because you say calling, I mean, when you're 11, 12 years old and you hear like your favorite artist that you just love, and you early on know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life, and it's a calling and it's a commitment, and it becomes like a religion after a while.
So then, referring back to what I told you, that 70% of respondents in the music survey said that they're making less than $10,000 a year from their music. Is that a problem, or is that just inherent to the life of a musician?
Well, it's sort of now in Austin, Texas, is sort of now just happened like that recently. To me, I've moved here in the mid-'80s, and being a musician way back then, you can make a really cool living, you know, being a musician, playing in 3 or 4 different bands, or even just one band. Like with my brothers and I, we just played in one band, and we would play 3, 4 nights a week.
And you could make it.
And you can make it really awesome.
And Gavin, when did you start performing in Austin as a musician?
Well, as a child, really, in the late 1960s, my father brought me up to the University of Texas. The 3 of us are natives, which is unique in the Austin music industry. Yeah. And it's just in the DNA, I guess, in Austin, growing up here in the late 60s, the early 70s. My parents basically brought me out to see talent, and I got to see 13th Floor Elevators and Willie Nelson and their first Austin incarnation. So
you were raised to love
taking up a
music
guitar.
Sure.
I started performing during the punk rock era around 1978, 1979.
Okay, so in the 80s.
Can I jump in on
absolutely.
that? Because I think is it a problem to make less than $10,000 a year doing work you love? Yeah, that's a damn problem.
It is. It is.
And I'll frame that at a macroeconomic level. The music industry, from record sales alone in North America, is now a third of what it was in 1998. So the digital revolution that was supposed to help artists make a living, to give them distribution rights, it's done that, but it's also seriously undercut all of the institutions in the music industry, and it's made it very hard to make a living in the music industry.
Which speaks to, it's not necessarily an Austin-specific problem, it's also a music industry challenge for anyone trying to make a living.
It really
as a
can
musician.
be, because now you have musicians now that are relying on social media now, hard and heavy.
Right.
I mean, back when I was, my brothers and I, we were kids, there were no such thing as social media, so you had to really get out and pound the pavement and really promote your shows to get people to come out, even to support. So now, you really can be a little smart about it if you really know exactly how to maneuver yourself through social media.
Well, now we're in a city that is a cradle of the arts, and there are a lot of organizations like Black Fret that are reaching to carry the water for musicians in general, and other cities have some things like that. But is it up to the city to solve that? Is that something you think that? Well, you work with the Austin Music Commission. What are they doing?
Well, going back to the affordability issue, it really has. It's a story of evolution of Austin music, really, that we have now joined the cities of Los Angeles, New York, Nashville, Seattle, Atlanta, or what have you. And as far as the problems with success and being epicenters of creativity, this private sector is Black Fret, Austin Music Foundation, HAM, SIMS. These are not city-generated entities.
They're part of the civil society.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is the win for Austin. It's what we are actually teaching the world at this point. This is how you do it without city support. Right now, the government is in a very friendly place with music, as everyone has followed. And the entities that we do have, again mentioning the Music Foundation, Black Fret, SIMS, HAM, and many others, are creating the conditions for us to survive the change that we are going through right now.
Well, I've noticed. Go ahead.
I think that's overly optimistic. Is it the job of the city to help the musicians communities? The thing about all the cities you named is part of their growth was due to the fact that they were cool and interesting and had a scene, right? They could attract young talent. People wanted to move there, right? And it was affordable at one point in time. But all of those cities are struggling to retain their cultural assets, and it's not just popular local musicians. The symphonies and operas in those cities are collapsing as well, right? These are cities that built their economy around having a sustainable and attractive arts community, and they're losing it. And I think those cities and the private sector both need to step up significantly to protect those assets, or they're gonna be gone, right?
Well, and I know that Austin we've got the City Music Office, we have the CVB, which is the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the group that markets our city for tourism and for conventions. They have a music office. We happen to be in Austin, so there's a Texas Music Office. I know the CVB is trying to help local artists be hired by those that are bringing in large groups, and we'll put information about that on the website. But in terms of the city taking care of it, do you believe that it's not solely theirs? You don't believe that, do you?
Well, frankly, those are bricks into the Grand Canyon, right? The city's music office has a $75,000 a year budget for a $1.3 billion industry.
Right, the yield from the Austin Music Census last year was a total of $475,000. $200,000 of that was to save hopefully the theater community in cultural arts. Another $200,000 was to engage the issues of entertainment industry in the evenings, licensing and sound issues.
Which also speaks to the club owners and promoters. And I know you work and promote for a festival, the Dia de los Muertos.
Dia de los Muertos Festival and the Latin community. But as Colin underscored, $75,000 is the budget for revenue development and industry development So we're talking about a $2 billion industry with a $75,000 return of city support. That's where we're at in phase one of the omnibus.
If you're selling $1.3 billion a year worth of product and you're only spending $75,000 a year on marketing,
that's a problem.
Invest in marketing.
Well, now let's go back to what Gavin said earlier, because he, as you pointed out, brought up the word vocation and said, you know, he's raising actually the issue that these musicians or artists in any culture, they are small businesses unto themselves. They may not think of it that way, but they are. Do you disagree with that, or
no,
do you
I
agree?
completely agree. If anything, his comment about social media earlier, not only is it small business, it's small business with complexity that has grown significantly over the years. You no longer, I mean, the whole DIY thing of the 80s, great philosophy, but DIY has gotten harder because you have to maintain, you know, 4 different social media channels.
Sure.
Right.
It sounds easy because it's free, but it's not easy to do it well.
It's not free because at the moment, you know, the majority of the next generation of music fans are watching videos on YouTube. They're not paying for it, 1, and 2, the cost of putting a decent video on YouTube is, you know, $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
That's your revenue for the year if you're a musician in Austin. Let alone, heaven forbid, you try and go on tour.
You laugh. Have you tried to go on tour?
You know, it's funny because we just released the album this past November, and we're still trying to find a way to even make that happen. Even just getting the conversation started, it could be complicated because it really takes a lot of energy.
Well, let me speak to that, and I'll speak from my own experience. I happen to be a musician. It's not my full-time job, but it's something that I care about, and I'm married to a blues musician, and we have gone on tour across Switzerland and the UK, and there they pay us, and they give us a place to stay and give us meals, and we export the fact that we are Austin musicians, and they eat it up. Is that an opportunity that's being missed? Or is that too far to reach for a local musician? You
know, if you don't know that it exists, then it might be a problem. But hearing it from how you put it, yeah, definitely, it can be lucrative. You know, and I think when it comes to certain musicians that I run into in the city, is that sometimes we get caught up into what this scene has to offer. And you kind of get pigeonholed to where is that you're going around circles. You're basically playing this club, that club, and not realizing that you can spread your brand.
I agree with his perspective on it. I fundamentally, and I think Black Fret. I mean, Black Fret's an evolution of another nonprofit and several other nonprofits. I would argue fundamentally, Austin can't save Austin music. Right. I mean, at the end of the day,
talking about the government, Austin government.
Well, just the city in general, right? I mean, we're not that big a city, and to make a career in music, you got to do one of 2 things: you got to sell records, or you got to sell tickets.
That's true.
Right.
Not enough T-shirts. Is that what you're saying? There's no way to make it on T-shirts and stickers.
Or CDs, because the cost of music has gotten it's free. The kids don't pay for it anymore, right?
That's true.
What Black Fret is trying to achieve, the grant money we give is good. It helps. The mentoring we give is better. It sort of creates sustainable, teach a man to fish kind of income. What Black Fret is trying to accomplish is create chapters like Black Fret in the 10 major music cities in North America.
Well, there's scalability.
There's scalability, and I believe there is a global brand there that can be developed, like a Consumer Reports or a minor league of baseball, where people can go to find incredible talent on a global level, and we'll concentrate consumer buying into these bands, right?
And it sounds like specifically good music.
That's the intent, right? I mean, that's part of the problem, is that there are so many musicians in this town that are willing to play for free.
Let's talk about that, pay to play and playing for free.
Wow.
Tomar clearly has a...
It's funny because I have to keep going back into the 80s because there was no such thing as pay, to play or playing for free, or beer, whatever you want to call it. It was really cool that you could really, hit an establishment and make a really cool payout that night. Nowadays, I think, you got to be a little bit more creative, if you need to go in that direction where you want to get paid. A lot of work goes into that, finding out how can we start to get our pay up here rather than just being down here. So creativity, or sometimes luck has a lot to do with it, or you have a great sound, but if you don't know how to market yourself in this city properly, people won't get a chance to gravitate or even latch on to what you're doing. So they're like Colin said, there are a lot of great musicians in the city. There are so many musicians that move from other cities to come to Austin to really make it. And when they get here, they realize, ooh, well, yeah, it's a great scene down here, but how can I make a living while playing music? And that's where the problem comes in. It's like, okay, now I got to get a day job. And if you have 2 or 3 kids, and a wife, like myself, I have 2 daughters and a wife. I've been married for 21 and a half years, and I'm telling you, keeping music in my life along with family, it's a very difficult situation to deal with in Austin.
So is music the commodity, or are the musicians the commodity? Because I fear that in the victim mentality, the musician becomes the commodity, and I would rather take the approach that Colin is taking, that we're raising up the musicians to keep the music and the brand of that music from this city the commodity.
That's right. It's something that music has to be real careful with. That with the report that we did, the census underscores again that there are challenges that have to be met, but that does not make the industry a victim. It's a successful entity. We're on an issue, I guess, that needs to be spotlighted. Is Austin's on 2 different journeys, and I think they've tapped that. One is keeping the incubator community thriving through the nightclubs, at the same time as making Austin a destination city. Austin making the city a destination capital is built on the equity of South by Southwest, Austin City Limits Television, and the live events, ACL Live. But locally, that doesn't sell to the community, the consumers, who are millennials, in fact, to support the live music venues and the music ecosystem. So the challenge is what we have to look left and right simultaneously, and keep the money flowing from whatever vehicle we can, the hot tax and whatnot, using support of the public sector, which Black Fret is a miracle that it came into being, and I haven't seen anything in the world like it at this point. At the same time, again, the local consumers, how do we continue to keep the venues thriving so there is no pay to play, so there is a means of a talent to thrive, as well as to be a landing place for people like Earl Poolball and Red Volkert and folks that have made their names around the world and now live here. So that's a challenge for the government to look 2 different directions.
Two different roads.
I think you guys are headed in the right direction, right? I mean, to me, that's about reframing it from a need-based argument to one of artistic excellence, right? I mean, you look at how the Metropolitan Museum and other things, they raise. I think total North American record sales last year was less than the money that the symphonies and operas raised in the 10 major music cities we're looking at, right? I mean.
Which have great patronage and secure patronage, as Black Fret's finding out now.
And it's not from a perspective of help us. It's a perspective of we're great, invest.
And I can get behind that as a musician, but also as a member of the community, to say, I don't respond well to the victim mentality, and I'm not accusing musicians in general of playing the victim, but I also don't want to talk down the city to the point where we've made ourselves all the victim of growth, because growth is a good thing, and it brings opportunity. The venues are making a little bit more than they used to. Musicians' pay right now is commensurate with pay in the 80s, with when you started.
Exactly.
Are you making, well, I'm not going to ask you what you make, but many musicians are making what they made in the 80s right
that
now.
is true. But I mean, the cool thing that Austin provides is that they do have really awesome venues to showcase your talent. And that being said, if you bring a good product, then chances are it will shine through, and you will start to make the money that you set out to make. But you got to be serious. You got to be dedicated with a sound, with a look, and with the whole movement. And now it's to the point now, it's all about a movement. It's not about just putting together a few cats. You write a couple of tunes and you just hit the stage.
If only, right?
No. You got to have this thing fine-tuned before you hit the stage. And people
I think that's
recognize
a perfect spot to end, actually, our conversation. It's up to each of us and all of us both. And we are
a committed community.
Yeah, it is, as a community, but it's also, you choose to be a musician, you carry that flag.
Well.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So what did we learn today? We came in knowing that Austin, as a city and a destination, is thriving, but that musicians are struggling to keep up with the rising cost of living. We also learned that there are good people working with good organizations to try and address the situation, and that this isn't a problem that's specific to Austin. I want to thank my guests today, Colin Kendrick from Black Fret, Gavin Garcia with the Austin Music Commission, and Tomar Williams. And let's listen to some Tomar Williams and remind ourselves why Austin continues to be the live music capital of the world. For more information and links to everything we've talked about on the show today, please visit our website at nonprofitaustin.org/civil society. And you can keep this conversation going at facebook.com/Civil Society TV. Thanks for watching Civil Society.
Girls already 9:30. I've been thinking that you changed your mind. Always saying that it's justified. But you do this all the time. Got me thinking it's all about you. After all the things that I do. Oh, baby, you got to change. Feeling like a mix of food. To this point, I've been so chill. Slow motion, even standing.